to stay.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Boards, a podcast dedicated to the actions and interests of skaters beyond skateboarding. My guest today, Kristin Ebeling, is first and foremost a very talented skateboarder who recently turned pro for Meow Skateboards. She is also the executive director of Skate Like a Girl, a non-profit organization, the mission of which is to create an inclusive community by promoting confidence, leadership, and social justice through skateboarding. She is also a musician, playing bass in the punk band Punitive Damage, a writer contributing to various publications such as the Skate Witches zine or Mess Skate Mag to name a few, and somehow in the middle of her very busy schedule, she managed to find time to manage the Krux Trucks team for over a year and a half. I had the opportunity to sit down with her for a quick chat early February 2023 to discuss her many ongoing projects. So here's my conversation with Kristin. I hope you'll enjoy it. Yeah, thank you so much, Kristin. Honored to meet you, virtually for now at least. Yeah, stoked to get to talk to you. As you just said, you're very busy, you have lots of things going on. So I guess it's going to be hard to cover everything that you do, but we'll try at least to touch on some of the most important things that you're involved with. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I usually start this podcast with the same question with everybody, which is kind of how they started, skating. Mm-hmm. I heard in an interview that you did a while ago that you lived in Singapour as a child for a few years. Yeah. And I think that was like your earliest memory of being on a skateboard. I don't know if you actually started skating properly then, or if it was just your first experience with it. But can you tell us a bit about like how you picked up a skateboard and everything?
Yeah. I'll just start by saying, like, I was, like, a little girl that I didn't want to be told I was a girl. Like, I would climb trees without my shirt on, and my dad would be like, you need to be wearing a shirt. Like, you're being weird. I was always hanging out with my brother and, like, his friends, and so, yeah, I would say it's definitely, like, a non-traditional, like, little girl as far as gender norms go. But, yeah, so my brother got, like, a skateboard, or we got a skateboard somehow from, like, the downtown, like, market or whatever, and those are definitely my first memories. I remember, like, kind of just butt-boarding on that board, and I actually have a photo of myself in, like, a little dress, like, standing on the board, like, super funny. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, those are my first memories of, like, interacting with skateboarding, but I wouldn't say I, like, properly learned to skate. But I will say it was kind of in the back of my mind throughout my adolescence, and then when I was 12... bunch of my friends were into like scootering and like watching X Games on TV and listening to like Green Day. Like there was sort of like this moment of like punk rock and skateboarding, and then that kind of like culminated with like, I don't know, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater coming out, which was kind of a combination of all of that, which reached kids like all over the world. And I remember scrolling through the characters and then coming upon Alyssa Steamer, and I was like, oh my God, that's a girl's name. Like, that's a girl. Like, what? And it honestly like made it real in my mind, like that like women can skateboard and whatever. So I asked for, a skateboard for Christmas that year in like 6th grade. So I was like 12, 13. Okay. And then, I really started skating that summer because I got kind of like a department store board at first. And then that summer I got like a real skateboard and learned how to like kick flip and stuff like that, and it was on.
So you probably didn't see girls skating around you immediately when you first started, right? Did that come a bit later in your life, finding other girls to skate with? And
yeah, I definitely, like, at first, like, I had a couple girlfriends, like, in my, like, crew, and everyone kind of started skateboarding together. Even kids that were kind of more like jocks or whatever, because skateboarding just kind of had this moment. I'd say this was like around 2000, 2002, like skateboarding had like this moment where I felt like all the kids at school had a skateboard. Everyone also had a razor scooter. Like there was just like a moment for like extreme sports or whatever. Yeah. Tony Hawk had become like a household name after he did the 900, and like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out. Like, anyways, there was just like this cultural moment for skateboarding, this resurgence. So a bunch of my friends skated, but then it was like by 8th grade, like me and like a handful of people kept skating. But most people stopped skating, like, regularly at least. Maybe they skated here or there, but they kind of got back more into, like, traditional sports and stuff like that. And so I kind of had a couple girls that started skating with me. Mm-hmm. But then by 8th grade, I was for sure the only girl at the skate park, the only girl, like, trying to, like, learn new tricks, going to the skate park every day, really just being, like, super focused on skating. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I read and I heard in some interviews that you did that unfortunately you were subject to like bullying as a child or as a teenager. Not sure at which age exactly, but pretty much when you were skating, so as a teenager, I guess, from like boys being assholes because you were a girl skating and they were just, it was just, I guess, too hard for them to accept or something. I don't know. But yeah, I was curious to hear you talk more about this because, I was just wondering, like, how did you, deal with this at that time? And were you able to find help maybe within the skate community or your family or other friends outside skateboarding or?
Yeah, I would describe it like this. Like, I started going to the skate park, tons of my friends from school and that were my age, girls, guys, jocks, alternative kids, nerds, like everybody was going to the skate park. It was like a thing that everybody did, right? It went from that like abundance mode. And also like we hadn't really gone through puberty yet. Like we were all 12. And then it quickly got into a period where everybody that really loved skating, stayed skating, were like, I'm a skater. And then the rest of people kind of like were gone. And so it went from this big, like diverse community of people to all of a sudden like a very small community. And it just so happened that none of the other girls I started skating with kept skating. And not a whole lot of people that were in my age, like in my grade specifically, kept skating. There was a couple people older than me, a couple people younger than me. And it went from us, them seeing me just as a skater to, it was very clear that they're like the other guys, like looking back, it's clear. It wasn't clear at the time, but that they had started to see women in a new light and they were like sexualizing women in weird ways. So like I was starting to get comments about like my body, specifically like my butt, specifically about what I'm wearing. Like some examples are just like guys would literally just be like, girls on girls if they wear baggy pants. And I'm like, okay. Cool. Like just always commenting on my gender. Like I played a game of skate against this kid. I won the game of skate. He literally said, it doesn't matter because you're a girl. I'm like, just again, like I feel like their responses were very like immature and like very related to the fact that like they went from being little boys and not really seeing gender to all of a sudden going through puberty and, culturally and like, I don't know, maybe their older brothers or like pop culture or whatever was like influencing them to like sexualize women in this way. And unfortunately, like I was like such an easy target. So yeah, I would say how I dealt with it was like I would go down to the skate park every day. And then it got to a point where I was just so over it and like I would cry and like it was just like I felt like I so badly wanted to be a part of it, but like just getting ditched, left behind, made fun of, commented on, not really feeling a part of something. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to skate by myself in the garage. And so like I ended up getting a flat bar and a box from this guy that was a little older than me, but he quit skating. And randomly he like gave me his box and his rail. And so all of a sudden I was like, well, I don't even need to go to the skate park. And it wasn't like the skate park I grew up at was like amazing. It was like so shitty. So like I was like stoked to just be in the garage by myself and like learn tricks by myself. And that's where I feel like deepened my love for skating just on a really personal level. Like the idea that I would set up my dad's like handy camera on like a tripod. Like this was like DV tapes, like old camera. I wish I still had the footage. And I would like point it at the rail and I would learn like the weirdest tricks. Like I learned like fakie front boards, like back to fakie. And like, I remember being like, whoa, like, I wonder if anyone else like can do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're just skating by yourself. It was so innocent.
Yeah.
And then I would say by the time I got to high school, like I had met a new group of guys that were actually my age and 1 year older that were actually really inclusive and kind to me. And like, it ended up being that like one of them had a crush on me and that was a whole another weird situation. I was like, can I just be a skater and like hang out with you guys with no like weird expectations? Anyways, but I met those guys and they were way cool and they skated a different park. And so finally I was kind of back at the skate park by like 10th grade and like filming and all that stuff. But I went through a period of like 8th through like early 10th grade where I was pretty much just skating by myself because I just was like avoiding the skate park because I would just get bullied and made fun of and it just like, it sucked. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like,
yeah, no, for sure. And so is that around that time that you first got involved with Skate Like a Girl or did that come into your life a bit later?
That was a little bit later. So it was kind of like 6th grade, 7th grade. I was skating. I was like one of the crew and there was all these people skating from my school and it was like this big moment. It was really exciting and everyone was learning to ollie together. It was super cute. 8th grade, like I was the only girl. 9th grade, I was like, okay, I'm not even going to go down to the skate park. Like it's not worth it, you know? 10th grade, finally started meeting some other dudes and starting to skate. But I would say that's where being one of the dudes was actually pretty gnarly because I had so much internalized misogyny because I wanted to fit in with the guys so bad. So I would like make fun of other girls or like...
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like wanted to fit in so badly. And so I would like...
Try to blend in.
totally, I tried to be like super tough. So I would like pound beers and like smoke weed and like smoke cigarettes. And like, I was just trying to be like gnarly, like, you know what I mean? And we went on skate trips and filmed, and it was super fun and awesome to feel a part of it. But I felt like I always had to prove something because I had that experience as a young child of like not fitting in with the skate community. So I was like, okay, here I am finally, like, don't blow it, you know? And then, so it got to a point where it was like pretty toxic, but it was like when I think I was 16, 17 is when so that was like 11th grade is when I found out about Skate Like a Girl. And I was like, I remember hearing about it and be like, there's no other girls that skate. That's so dumb. Like, why would they call it Skate Like a Girl? Why would I want to skate like a girl? You know, again, that like internalized like misogyny and like toxicity, right? That I had been kind of baked into.
Sure.
And I like went to it because in the back of my mind, I was like, actually, it would be really cool if I had a bunch of like women and like queer people to skate with that I could just be myself.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not this tough guy. Like I'm like a big softie. Like I love kids. Like I want to help people. Like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was like, that's when Skate Like a Girl kind of came into my life, was like in later high school.
Okay. And so you joined them around that time. I'm not sure what year it started. I think early 2000s.
Yeah, 2000, yeah.
Because I initially thought that you had founded Skate Like a Girl, but actually I found out that it existed prior to you joining them.
Yeah.
And now today you're the executive director, and we'll talk about that. But I was wondering, like, how was it the first few years that you know, kind of connected with that whole group, and who kind of welcomed you into it?
Yeah, so basically I had gone from not fitting in to finally having like a crew, but like kind of knowing that it still sucked to be like the only girl. And like at that time when I was 16, I like made a sponsor me video, and like the guy that was like the team manager told one of my guy friends like, oh yeah, Kristin's really good at skating, but she's just like not pretty enough to like be on the team, you know, like we're really looking for whatever. I don't know what they were looking for. So that was like really soul crushing, and like, yeah, it was just really hard. I was like spiraling, like I struggled with like an eating disorder for some time, and then like just had all these insecurities, not really knowing who I was, like drinking, partying, all this stuff. A lot of my friends were starting to do like hard drugs. Like it was like definitely like an intense time. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's like right when I found out about Skate Like a Girl. And so I really needed it and didn't know that I needed it at the time. So how it kind of went about is I was on MySpace and I saw that there was an event called Skate Like a Girl, just so happened to be hosted at the skate park I went to every day after high school. So I was like, what? Like they're hosting an event at like my skate park, you know? That was like my vibe. So I like pulled up and I was like not expecting anything, and their park was taken over by like women and like queer skaters, trans skaters, like all these people. I was like, this is like, I felt like I walked into like a dream. I remember riding up outside the skate park and seeing this girl like ollie down the 8th there, and I was like, what? I was like, I haven't ollied that, like, you know? And there was like women on the microphone, there was like snow cones, there was like kids learning like how to skate, there was like people ripping the bowl. I was just like, what? And like people had come over from all over, like regionally, like there's people from Portland there, from like Olympia, like the east of the mountains. Like it was crazy. So
wow.
Again, like my jaw like hit the floor. I was like, what is this? And I remember like skating so hard in the contest. And then I got to meet like the founders, and they were super cool. Like they were like, yo, you're really good. Like we should shoot photos sometime. Like that was like Holly, one of the founders of SLAG, like was like, yeah, like you should come like skate with me and like shoot photos. I've shot photos of like Amy Karen and Vanessa Torres and stuff. And I was like, dang, that's so sick. Like they kind of like Holly kind of had a connection to the industry. And then like Fleur and Nancy worked in like youth programming specifically. And so they kind of like opened the door for me to like start like going and doing like skate lessons and helping out at like the programs that we would host. And yeah, so I said I kind of like, or how I feel like it happened was I went to that event, met the founders, all of a sudden was like, what is this dream world? I want to be a part of this. Like, sign me up, you know, I'm going to sell my soul right now on the spot. And so after then I like started like helping out at the skate clinics that they had already been like kind of hosting just as a volunteer. And then it was like pretty clear after a little while, like any idea I brought to the table, like my new mentors were like, yo, let's make that happen. So I wanted to do like a skate tour, and like me and Nancy worked on that. And like I wanted to design a sticker and a shirt, and like, you know, it was like super crappy on like Photoshop back in the day, but like I like made it happen, and they helped get them printed. You know, I ended up starting Wheels of Fortune when I was 19. They were like, yeah, let's do this. So it was just kind of like any idea I had, they were like stoked to like help me out.
Yeah, on board.
And that was so exciting for me because not only did I not fit in, not have positive mentors, I was making a lot of bad choices. I like hated myself for being a girl to all of a sudden being celebrated for exactly who I am, given all this opportunity. Like, it was like, for lack of like a better phrase, like it was a complete 180, like literally you know, and I went from being this like kid that was like on the path to doing like hard drugs with my friends and like fucking up and like, you know, being all toxic to like, by this time I was in my senior year, I was like so empowered and like organizing shit and like volunteering a ton. And like, I wrote all my college essays about skateboarding and volunteering with Skate Like a Girl.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was cool. I mean, obviously, like, not everything's perfect. I'm an idiot in high school, like, kid, you know? But, like, honestly, like, yeah, the first couple years of Skate Like a Girl were amazing. It was, like, volunteering, helping teach the next generation, working with other volunteers and cool adults, being mentored by Holly, Fleur, and Nancy, you know, just having adults that were, like, cool, that had, like, tattoos and, like, loved skating and snowboarding and, like, punk, but they had their shit together in a way. They were, like, my older siblings, you know? They were so, like, I could bring anything to them. Like, they really had my back, and, like, that was such a game changer for me, and, like, being able to do whatever I wanted through Skate Like a Girl that I never saw. Like, we made zines, you know, like, I would try to, like, find women and girls, Alyssa Steamer, Jamie Reyes, in, like, Thrashers and Transworlds, right? And, like, I went through years of not seeing our community to, like, working with Skate Like a Girl, and we would, like, make zines, or we would make t-shirts, we would make skate trips, like, all the stuff I wanted to happen, like, basically we were able to make it happen. So, yeah,
that's amazing. Very positive influence at that time.
100%, yeah.
And so I saw somewhere that you did a BA in history, and I was wondering, like, what did you do before, like, work-wise, before you eventually, like, started working for Skate Like a Girl? What year did you start working over there, actually?
Yeah, I honestly am so bad at this. I think it was, like, 9 years ago. So what would that be?
2014, around there?
2014, yeah, that sounds real.
Okay.
And I got involved in, like, I graduated high school in 2007, so I must have gotten involved in, like, 2006, something like that. I've been a part of the org for, like, 15-ish years.
Okay.
Something like that. So from high school, I started going to the University of Washington, so that's local, so it's only, like, 30 minutes from, like, where I grew up. So, you know, a lot of my friends had kind of, like, moved and went to college in different places, and I kind of decided to stay home because UW was the best school I got into, and it was, like, the most affordable for my parents to, like, and me to, like, afford. So yeah, because I stayed local, I also was able to get more involved with Skate Like a Girl. So I kept volunteering for Skate Like a Girl throughout college. And that really helped me maintain a sense of community and, like, purpose through college. I feel like in college, it's, like, easy to, like, lose yourself and whatever.
Sure.
So it kept me skating, kept me engaged. And at that time, like, I don't know, like, the economy was, like, not really popping. And like 2008 to 2012.
Financial crisis, you know? Was around that time.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, there wasn't a whole lot of money in skateboarding, but skateboarding was still really small for, like, you know, women and queer skaters. So, but yeah, outside of college, I was working at, like, an all-girls school, and then I worked, you know, at, like, a snowboard skate shop. So, yeah, I was kind of working a little bit in the skate industry, you could say, like, at a shop, and then, you know, was also working at this all-girls school. I helped coordinate, like, the skateboarding program, and they had, like, a snowboard ski program that I helped coordinate.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then after I graduated college, I kind of kept doing those things, like, a little bit, and then I ended up seeing a job for the YMCA. They had a skate park and a teen center.
Okay.
And it was, like, a part-time job, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll try this. So I ended up working for the YMCA for, I think, 3 years, a little over 3 years. And what was cool about that was I saw how to make a nonprofit work. Like, the YMCA is one of the biggest nonprofits in the world, and I highly recommend anybody, if you're trying to do your own thing or start your own business, go work for something similar to what you're trying to create. Because I took so many of the lessons I learned from, you know, my time at the YMCA over to Skate Like a Girl. So the way a lot of, like, what we do, like, for instance, like, the YMCA has, like, core values, right? And all the core values are, like, embedded in the programming, and they're, like, just a cornerstone of what they do internally and externally. And so, like, Skate Like a Girl also has, like, our core values. Anyways, we have, like, our themes and stuff like that. Also, like, you know, making sure that children are safe in programming, and how to, like, have certain programs cost money to fund ones that need to be free, things like that. So I worked for the Y for, like, 3 years running teen programs, a snowboard bus, teen nights, skate contests, all kinds of stuff. So I really, like, I'd say, like, you know, sharpened my skills at the Y. But eventually it got to a point where I just didn't really like my boss over there. I didn't like the structure. I felt like a lot of the things that they were saying, like, I don't know, it just like, it wasn't a good fit at a certain point, and I wanted to move on. And so I like took like a, what's called an AmeriCorps role at Skate Like a Girl. So basically it's like you get paid very little, but you do get paid to like volunteer. And that's kind of how I started working for Skate Like a Girl. And after that summer of programming, I was like, I want to make this my job. I want to make this my full-time job. Like, what do I got to do to make it happen? And I kind of slowly, like, day by day, like, started, like, building programs up, delegating stuff to other people. I slowly hired people, built out our Portland chapter, helped relaunch our SFA chapter. It was just kind of like, I don't know, just day by day, just doing my best to, like, you know, build the capacity of the organization until now I'm, like, the executive director managing all the local chapter directors and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say, like, prior to Skate Like a Girl, I basically, like, worked at the YMCA, learned everything I needed to know, and brought all the good stuff and left the bad. And I basically, you know, made Skate Like a Girl my job, slowly but surely.
No, that's great, yeah. And so how long have you been the executive director now? Has it been, like you said, it's been, like, 9 years since you started working fully there, but...
I think so, yeah. I'd say I started working for Skate Like a Girl, I want to say 2014. And then, I guess it's been a little bit longer. I don't know. I'm so bad with years. Like, I honestly, it's all a blur to me. And especially the last couple years with COVID and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think I've been ED roughly since, like, 2017.
Okay.
Basically, as soon as we had, like, leadership... Because for a while, I was sort of, like, running the Seattle programming, like, managing it, but then also supporting our Portland and SFA chapters as they were kind of, like, emerging. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, like, this is way too much. I need someone to run Seattle and, like, own that. And then I need to manage everything to kind of support it. So it went from, like, me doing Seattle and executive director, so it's kind of a hybrid role, to me hiring a Seattle director, and then was able to manage all 3 cities. But still, Seattle was, like, the biggest chapter, kind of helping to, like, fund the other chapters. And then I'd say the last, like, couple of years, we've really tried to, like, even out the chapters. So, like, Seattle is not like the behemoth and the other chapters are smaller. It's like all the chapters are very similar in terms of, like, what they do every year. So we've kind of evened things out. Obviously, there's, like, regional differences, but...
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that was around 2017 when I kind of made that shift to being executive director and not directly running Seattle stuff. But like I said, I'm really bad with dates, so
that's okay.
I could be off by a year or two.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And so on the side of Skate Like a Girl, you've obviously kept skating. I saw that you went pro, I think, last year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, around there.
Yeah, 2020, yeah.
So were you sponsored this whole time, or were you kind of just skating for fun and sponsors came a bit later, or?
Yeah, I've kind of, like, had sponsors throughout the years, and they kind of are fleeting, you know? And also, especially for a long time, people didn't know what to do with women skaters. Like, they would kind of hook them up for a little bit. Like, it, like, ebbed and flowed. Like, at one point, I was getting flowed shoes from, like, DC. At one point, I got flowed boards from Santa Cruz and, you know, stuff like that. I would say now the landscape's a little different, where, like, women actually do properly ride for the team. You don't just, like, get sent, like, one box one time. Yeah. Or, like, here or there. And then I rode for that skateboard shop that I worked for a while. And then I ended up starting riding for 35th, which is just a skate shop. So I've been on the 35th team for a long time, and I've been on the Meow Skateboards team for a long time. So I'd say Meow and 35th are kind of like my oldest sponsors. And then more recently, I started riding for Krux in the last, I think in 2021, I started riding for Krux and, like, Spitfire. Okay. But yeah, I definitely say, like, I'm more on the side of skating for fun and filming because, like, I like to put out video parts. Like, I have no illusion that I'm, you know, the best skateboarder in the world and should only be skating. I also feel like that would be the detriment of my community. I feel like I'm a really good community organizer, delegator. For sure. You know, I have a vision for what I want to see in skateboarding and try to combine my vision with what I'm hearing kind of on the ground level, what would be cool to see or from young people that I'm around, you know, where are the gaps, where are the needs. And so I feel like I'd say I skate for fun, but I do like to complete things. Like, I like to challenge myself. I love street skating. I love fixing spots. I love filming. I have a VX. Like, I love making videos, like, all that stuff. Yeah. I honestly wish I had more time to do that. I'd say, like, that's kind of a goal of mine this year is to, like, put more time into the creative. I definitely dedicated so much of my life to Skate Like a Girl and community organizing and I'm definitely like a go-to person. People are like, hey, Kristin, are we doing something for this? And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And I think, yeah, in the next year, I want to like, you know, because like the clock's kind of ticking for me. It's like I'm 33, so it's like I'm not, obviously I'm not super old or anything. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, for a long time I like have wanted to go back to grad school, you know? And I think that would be a really awesome opportunity. I love being in an educational environment, but I'm like, I know I can do that when I'm 45, but I probably can't like skate street at 45 the way that I can now, so...
Yeah, differently at least.
Exactly, yeah, totally. So I want to like, you know, start another video part this year. And
you just released one actually, right? For Krux Trucks, I saw
for that. Krux, yeah.
That was sick.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited to get going on the next project. So yeah, that's the game plan.
And so to bring it back to Skate Like a Girl, I was interested in like the Wheels of Fortune events that you've, I think you were the one who kind of started this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was wondering like, how did it all start and how has it grown and like, what's like the next edition gonna look like? And
yeah, so I would say right around the time that I met Skate Like a Girl, that was kind of like probably my first early like peak in like my skateboarding abilities and stuff like that. Like I had been skating like local contests and there was never really a girls division. And if there was only like me and one other person. And it was just awkward, you know, because a lot of times they'd be like a little kid, you know? So I grew up skating those regional contests. So I ended up like skating against the boys a lot of the time. And it was pretty cool because I was pretty consistent and confident. Like I would end up getting like second and third place, more so not because my tricks were that better, but just because I landed more. The guys would kind of like be sending it and I was more calculated. I'm like, okay, well, if I don't land anything, I'm not going to get any points. So I might as well just land a bunch of stuff. And
yeah, do the things I know I can do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of grew up skating the contest. And then right around the time I met Skate Like a Girl, Holly took me to a skate event called Goofy vs. Regular. And they did some kind of like girls contest on the side. And so I ended up going to like the pro contest and skating with like, you know, Leo Baker and Marissa Del Santo and stuff like that.
Okay.
In my experience there, like I saw the way in which like women were kind of like a sideshow to like the guys event. I saw that like the prize money was so much less and it was kind of like, damn, like they just literally took the guys event and they're like, okay, here you go, girls, you can have a crumb of what we're doing over here.
Yeah.
And so that didn't really sit very well. It was like with me. And then that summer there was like a skate event or a skate trip that we organized. Like I had mentioned earlier, we went out to Winnipeg to a girls skate event called Chicks Flip Out. And I went out to that and it was so sick being at a skate contest. Even though it was more grassroots, there was like women skaters from like all over Canada and like from the United States too. And there wasn't like huge prize money or anything or giant sponsors, but it was like funny. They got us these like giant checks when we like, you know, when you placed in the contest, you got a giant check and it was kind of cool. So I would say like my experience kind of growing up skating like the events in my community and then going to kind of more of a high profile pro contest and kind of being on the sideshow and then going to Chicks Flip Out and being like, wow, we're really like the centerpiece. This is rad. This is like run by women. This is like for us, by us.
Yeah.
And on the way back from that skate trip, I was like, okay, like I want to do an event. Like, what am I going to do? And I like came up with the idea for Wheels of Fortune on the way back. And I was like, I want to do an event that's just like small grassroots, but all about our community. I want it to be like funny and not super serious. And that was kind of the ethos that I put into it. Like I wanted to just like celebrate like our community and bring people together. Cause also like harkening back to like my first event with Skate Like a Girl, it was a contest and it was so rad to see other girls like from all over the world or not all over the world, but like all over like the region, you know?
Sure.
I wanted to kind of recreate that for Skate Like a Girl. So yeah, I was like 19 years old and just was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And I like, you know, just asked friends to help me out. And yeah, we made it happen. And it was funny, like there was really no sponsors back then. There was no like cash money. I made the trophies in my apartment with my roommate. They were like spray painted Barbie dolls.
Amazing.
Yeah. Wow. So it was like, it was very budget, but it was really fun. And it was cool. Like Andy Crone came out. Yeah, totally. So it was cool. And then it just, slowly built year after year. And it got really big, like around the 7th WAF, because that was when it became an X Games qualifier, or it was just for that year.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden we had like Jen Soto, Mariah Duran, all these like bigger names than like women skating now, like coming out to try to like get their spot to go to X Games. And then that's when we started doing like Witch Hunt and building out the weekend. It no longer was just one day. It had kind of expanded into like a multi-day event. So yeah.
When is like the next edition? I'm not sure when was the last one and when is the next one?
Yeah, great question. So we had the pandemic, obviously. So we didn't host WAF for like 3.5 years.
Okay.
And to kind of bring it back, we decided to do it in September. So September of 2022 was the last WAF. And we kind of had it be like back to school themed, you know, kind of coming in with that sort of energy because it had been a while and our community had grown so much over the pandemic. Like so many new skaters started in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then our next one is going to be May 2024. So not this May, but the following May.
In a bit more than a year. Okay.
Yeah, because traditionally it started out being like a winter contest because I was like, it would be funny to host a girls' skate contest in the middle of winter. I don't know why I thought that was funny as a teenager, but that was my vibe. And then we slowly shifted it to being in May because the weather is so much better in Seattle. And it's like a way better experience for people to come and visit our city from different places in the world when the weather's nicer.
Yeah.
And then we did September for this last WAF as like a back to school, you know, resurgent reunion vibes. And then, we're moving it back to May.
Okay.
And I'm kind of inspired by like Dime Glory Challenge and other events that I've heard are going to be not every single year, but like every couple of years or every year and a half. So that's kind of like our vibe with Wheels of Fortune is I want people to really want it. And I want it to, it's a lot of work to run an event. Like I'm like moving furniture, lugging tables at like 1 a.m. on Saturday night and, you know, singing karaoke and then I'm supposed to skate the next day. And it's just like burnout city committee. So I think hosting it every other year is like a good look for us just so that the community really wants it. Everyone shows up. Yeah. It doesn't feel like too much, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I've seen like some video recaps of some of these events and they look really rad and congrats on that. That's super cool.
Thank you.
So I mentioned earlier that you just turned pro for Meow Skateboards, and I was wondering like how did you connect with them, and how did it feel to turn pro? I mean, it's obviously every skater's dream. Was it a dream of yours, or was it kind of not really on your mind, as you said, as you were skating and just having fun with it, not necessarily having like a very thought through career path, skating wise, I mean? And how did it feel to turn pro for especially this company with all of your good friends? And how does it feel today to be a pro? Does it motivate you to skate even more, or is it kind of the opposite? Like, oh, I'm pro now, like whatever, I can chill now, I can just relax. I mean, I already know the answer to that. But I was just curious to ask you a bit about like this whole experience of turning pro.
Yeah, I think I started riding for Meow in like 2012. Like I was one of the original riders, and I had just gone on this skate trip to like Australia, and I remember like coming back from that, and then I saw Lisa, and I think she told me about Meow, and then later she called me and she started sending me boards. So I'd definitely been getting boards from Meow forever, and Lisa's like the homie. Like prior to Meow, she ran Girls Skate Network, and you know would go out to all the events and film them. And I grew up like going onto her website, The Side Project, and then watching the Villa Villa Cola video. Like so much of what Lisa's created like kept me skating, especially in those dark times when I was like felt like such a loner and everyone hated me and like I couldn't even go to the skate park and stuff like that. Like the videos and the content that she created like saved me. So first and foremost, like Lisa's family, like you know, I would never expect her to do anything. Riding for Meow is not just like a brand to me, like you know what I mean? Like I said, it's like a family thing. How it feels, you know? And I didn't have ever any like, okay, I'm gonna go pro, like, you know, like this is my life's work. Because to me, skateboarding is so much bigger than that. And I feel like, you know, the name of your podcast speaks to the same idea that like we're complex humans and, you know, being good at skateboarding, quote unquote, is like not the only thing I can offer. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the community. And I've always had that outlook and, you know, so I didn't really expect it at all. Like, it was a complete surprise to me. We were actually in LA filming for a Transworld Skate and Create, and I was just getting interviewed, and then all of a sudden, everyone just walked up, and my husband was there. Vanessa Torres brought the board or something. There's footage of it. Which is a trip. Yeah, because I grew up watching videos of her and wanting to dress, act, talk, do her tricks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I idolized her as a kid. And so it was really special for it to come from her. And the board was designed by my friend Jesse Van. And another skater I grew up looking up to and a good friend of mine now today. So it was, you know, just really, really special to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I didn't expect it at all. And it was definitely a trip seeing all the congrats and how supportive everybody was. Cause, you know, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, am I good enough? Like, am I just getting this cause I've been riding for Meow forever? Like, why? There's so many other better skaters. Like, you can get all in your head. But, you know, and as far as like going pro and how it like makes me feel, like, I'd say for a while, like, it was a little weird because, like, I don't know, I was at the skate park one time and, like, people just kind of comment on it in a weird way and made me feel uncomfortable. Like, they couldn't just be like, hey, congrats. It would be like, oh, so you're pro now. Like, oh, are you riding your board? You know, it just made me feel weird because, like, to me, it never really was, like,
about that.
Something that I expected or felt like I fully deserved or, you know what I mean? Like, again, like, I want to give back to skateboarding more than I take. It's not about me. So, yeah, it was definitely like a hard experience, but I would say now I'm at peace with it. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm a pro skater. Like, and I'm kind of like, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a possibility model for other people that are like, you know what? I am not just going to focus on being good at skating. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to give back to my community. I'm going to make shit happen. I'm going to find a gap and I'm going to fill it. Like, you know, like not just be selfish and take from skating and be entitled, but give back. So my hope is that like people are inspired by that in a way. And I think they are, like, you know, if you look at certain skaters, like, and their styles or what they're all about, people fall in love with skaters because they fit their identity. It's not just about how good they are. And I think a perfect example of that is like Nyjah Huston. Like, he's irrefutably like one of the best skaters on planet Earth, but does he resonate with the majority of skaters? I don't think so.
Yeah, not a majority for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, there's space in skating for everybody, and there's space in skating for me. So yeah, I would say it's gotten to a point where it is motivating in the sense that I'm like, yeah, I'm a pro. I should be skating as much as I can. I'm a pro. I should be asking people to film me and get photos and not be uncomfortable with that. Yeah. You know, because for so long I was like overly humble about it, or I like didn't want to brag and I didn't want to come across like entitled. But now I'm like, you know what? It doesn't have to be that. Like, if I'm not that, I'm not that. So just like kind of taking up that space in a way. So
aside from all of everything we just mentioned, you also play music in a punk band. I think you play the bass, right?
Yep.
And so I was wondering, like, how did you develop your interest for music? Did that start as a teenager when you were skating, or did that come a bit later? And how much time does that specific endeavor take in your day-to-day life nowadays?
Yeah, I love music. It's definitely like a secondary passion to skateboarding. But I started playing music really young. My parents like forced me, which like as a young person like kind of sucked. But as an adult, I'm so thankful that they made me learn music, right? Like, I feel so grateful because not everyone has access to that. So I grew up playing like piano, violin, saxophone, flute, like I always was like in band and stuff. And my dad always wanted to play music and my mom always wanted to play music as a kid. So it was kind of one of those things where my parents they grew up really humbly and they didn't have access to music. And so my dad started playing music late in life. My mom's always tried, but just like, it's hard for her, but she loves music. And so my brother played the drums and like piano and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say we're like some like, music like family necessarily, but music's always been in our home and a part of like what we do. So we're not like, no one in my family is like a prodigy or anything, but we all love it. So it's always been around. And then I'd say in like 6th, 7th grade, I started taking like guitar lessons and then like was in bands and like, I don't know, I had like my band played in the talent show or whatever in like 6th grade, stuff like that. Okay. Recorded some music and played shows and stuff through high school with like kind of a post-hardcore project. And then by college, didn't really have a lot of connections in music and kind of fell off. But then I'd say around 2013, 2014, started getting more like interested in music again, and then played in like a band with my friend Shari and Ambika. They both skated. It was kind of like a skate punk band, and then kind of got into the music scene a little bit that way. Joined like an all-girls like hardcore band called Lowest Priority. Okay. We played for a little while. So that kind of like, I would say around that time. Also, like, I met my partner Alex, and he's a drummer, and his number one passion is music. So that was kind of an influence on me to kind of harken back to my roots of loving punk music and like hardcore and stuff like that. Yeah. I also like quit drinking. So I was like really influenced by like straight edge, like hardcore Youth of Today and like Gorilla Biscuits and stuff like that. I started eating vegan and like that's where sort of I feel like I found my self identity, where I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm not doing anything in my life finally that's for anybody except me. Like, I feel 100% confident in my skin, my life choices. I'm not drinking to fit in. I'm not, doing anything really to fit in. I'm 100% like being myself.
Your true self.
Yeah, so, and currently I play in Punitive Damage. It's a band that's with a bunch of really, like, close friends / family. Like, it's me and Alex. Alex's best friend is Mike. Mike plays guitar. Mike's sister sings. Steph and our super good friend TJ plays second guitar. And I feel like my band is like my family. And, I'm super stoked to play bass just because I used to play guitar and I kind of struggled with guitar. I've broken my wrist so many times skating. Oh, yeah. Bass is a little easier on my arms and hands and wrists. And I feel like I can really like rock out and have fun, and it's less stressful than playing guitar. So I really love playing the bass. My dad's a bassist, so it's kind of cool to have that in common with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Punitive Damage is just like a hardcore punk band. And
do you do like a lot of concerts and stuff like that, or are you more like trying to record songs, or do you do both? Or
Yeah. So we have a couple 7-inches, little like EPs or demos or whatever. And then we have an LP that came out in 2022 called This Is the Blackout. So that's pretty recent. I came out back in October, which is like on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff. And we're actually about to go on tour with Initiate. We're doing a West Coast tour. We also have a UK tour in April, and then we're coming to Europe in July. So maybe I can get you on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure we're going to play in France. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'll definitely let you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot more stuff coming out. Since our LP dropped, like, I feel like we've gotten a lot more attention, and which was really, really cool and such a special experience, because I've never really been in a band that's like that successful. So it's been a cool experience, and I'd say my life is always like skateboarding and music, skateboarding and music, skateboarding and music. And, later this year, like, I'm going to go to Cambodia in an exchange trip with Skate Like a Girl in Skateistan. And then I'm going to fly from Glasgow straight to Phnom Penh and go on that trip. So, like, my life feels a little crazy, but I feel like I'm constantly, like, skateboarding music, and it makes me feel really balanced and fulfilled, that I'm not just one thing, but I can kind of find joy in either.
That's super interesting. Yeah. And they go very well together, obviously. I mean, there's so many people in skateboarding that, either became musicians after they retired from pro skating, or just as yourself are involved in making music while they're skating professionally. But it seems like a very complementary kind of outlet to skateboarding.
Yeah, I feel really lucky too. Like, a lot of like skaters or whatever, friends of mine through skating will come to shows and get into music, and I'll see them like get interested in music. Like, there's been a couple girls that I've talked to like, dude, I just got a bass. Like, like they get excited about playing music. And again, going back to like, if there's anything I can do through my individual expression is like just be a possibility model for other people, that you don't have to just be a skater or just be a musician. Like, you can be both, you can be multifaceted. And it's been really cool to see more of that kind of come out, especially for like women and trans people like that I know, either in skating or music. There's so much crossover. Like, I've taught so many people I met through punk and hardcore how to skate, and now they're skaters. And then vice versa. Like, there's been skaters that are like getting interested in music and coming to shows. So it's cool to see it blend together.
Yeah, that's amazing. You just mentioned this trip to Cambodia. I'm kind of interested. Like you said, it's kind of an exchange with Skateistan.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about this exchange?
Yeah, so we're going to take, I think, like 10, 11 of our staff to Cambodia to go visit their site for about like 10 days and help them with some programming they're running, learn what they're doing to create inclusive skateboarding. They specialize, or focus, I should say, on like working with youth with various disabilities. So we're going to learn what that looks like. And then they are going to come and visit us in Seattle in July.
Nice.
And so they're going to kind of learn about how we create inclusive spaces for like women and trans skaters specifically. So it's like this cultural exchange, and they approached us about it last year, and it's finally kind of more on the horizon. We're about to buy flights and stuff like that, so I'm super excited. Yeah, it's just such a rad experience for our team they got like a grant, or like they received like funding for this, so it's pretty cool. So it's something that we would never be able to afford, so it's really a cool experience for our staff to be able to do that.
I'm again jumping to something else, but kind of linked to everything we're talking about. But I saw that you went to Pushing Borders in Malmö in 2019. And you participated in a talk over there that I listened to again earlier today, which was super interesting with like Leo Valls and Gustav Eden was chairing it, and I don't remember all the names of the people who were participating, but yeah, I was wondering like how did you enjoy this experience going to this particular edition of Pushing Borders in Malmö, and do you think something like that would work well maybe in the States?
Yeah, so my experience with Pushing Borders was awesome. I didn't go to the first one, but I wanted to, and then I was able to go to the second one. They got me there, which was really, really generous and amazing. And yeah, I would just say like the overall like experience was amazing. Although it feels inefficient to like bring everyone together in person, I do feel like it does create like a cultural moment, and it's like a quicker pivot than if people are just talking about things online. Yeah. Like bringing everyone together and having even the panels are amazing, but what I remember particularly was more so the informal time. So the little skate sessions or side conversations or debriefing what happened, or, you know, during the Q&A, like those types of moments were like really special. So yeah, I was really stoked to be a part of that, and I honestly don't remember anything that I particularly said on either of the panels I was on, but it was really cool to be there, and I really just want to give a shout out again to like the organizers. Like I know everything that they created. One of them was like a new dad, and another one, like there was just like so much going on for them in their personal lives, and the fact that they made time and space to create this, and there was definitely some experiences where they like had made some mistakes, and I was really proud of them for like getting on the microphone and like correcting them and speaking to them and learning. And there was just like so much growth, and like, because, you know, there's like people that have these like really hard life experiences in particular to skating. You know, and then we have other people that are kind of didn't have as much of those experiences or the lived experiences trying to learn. And it's really tricky to bridge the gap between people that have a certain privilege that they don't maybe even acknowledge or know that they have, and then people that are speaking to their experience. And, you know, there's a lot of space for people to have all different kinds of ideas. And, you know, I do feel like the bridge was made. You know, there was so much communication and community and stuff built there. And I see a lot of the projects that were represented or individuals still active today doing those projects. And so that's why Pushing Borders I think was so important, because it like reminded people, it stoked people, it got everyone pumped. Unfortunately, we went right into the pandemic almost right after, so that was really hard because we had built this momentum. But as far as like it working in the States, I know Ryan Lay is hosting Slow Impact later this month, and personally,
I saw that.
Yeah, so I think that's heavily influenced by like Wheels of Fortune, but also like Copenhagen Open and also Pushing Borders. He's kind of creating like something similar to all three of those events. And personally, I'm devastated I can't go. I'm on tour with my band.
That's a good reason though.
Yeah, I really wish I could be there. I'm so bummed. I'm gonna have to like turn my Instagram off for like that week because I just don't want to be reminded that I'm missing out on it. But yeah, I think it could definitely work in the States. I mean, Ryan's going to do it with Slow Impact. I know there's some other folks considering organizing stuff. At Wheels of Fortune, this last one, we hosted panels and workshops and stuff like that. So I kind of am seeing like the model that Pushing Borders created with bringing skaters together and talking more on an intellectual level and centering the events around community, communication, social skate projects, centering it there and not like who's the best skater and like partying. Like it kind of was more focused on the intellectual side of skating. And I think because they did that, that has influenced like so many events. It influenced Wheels of Fortune. It influenced Slow Impact. You know, you can see it kind of permeating. So again, big shout out to the organizers. They made a huge cultural shift happen in skateboarding.
So I usually end up these conversations with the same question with everybody, which is kind of what's the most valuable lesson that you feel you've learned from skating? And for yourself, it could be from actually skating, like the act of skating, but it can be something that you learn through, you know, doing Skate Like a Girl, all the other things that you've been involved with around skateboarding. Like, is there something that comes to mind as a particularly valuable lesson?
I mean, there's so much that I've learned just from skating, like, you know, taking something that's really scary that, like, I don't know how to do, that seems really intimidating, and breaking it down, putting time in every day and chipping away at something and finally accomplishing it. Like, I don't know, the biggest one that comes to mind just as far as skating is like learning tray flips was like, I remember not even understanding what the board was doing for like a whole year. The next year was like kind of learning how to flick it, but it's more like a varial flip. flip. And then it was like the next, you know what I mean? It took me like years. But I remember the moment when I finally landed one like out of a bank. And then I remember landing them, you know, over hips and then, you know, on flat ground and doing one in a line for the first time. Like, you know, the idea that like some things are going to take a really long time and some things like it's not going to be easy. Like even today, like I feel like I'm still relearning tray flips like every time I skate.
Yeah.
But like that success isn't just about doing the thing or accomplishing the goal. Success to me is more about the process, the journey, you know, the confidence that I gain from not being scared of something. Like if anything, honestly, skateboarding taught me to navigate fear, to be bold, like to be brave, even when you don't know what's going to happen, to believe in yourself, you know? Skateboarding taught me, I think, to believe in myself. Like that, like, just because you like eat shit and, you know, are going to be unsuccessful forever, that's not your whole story. You know, you're not a failure if you failed. You're a failure if you like give up, basically. So yeah, I really think that that's carried me into like every facet of my life, like with my community organizing and Skate Like a Girl and all that. Like even with music, honestly, like sometimes I'm like scared to get up there because so-and-so's in the audience, or what if I mess up, you know? But then I'm like, you know what? Like life is about having fun. Like it's not about, I'm not going to get caught up in the fear. I'm just going to move through it. So.
Okay, so let's do some of these friends' questions. So I have one from Michael Burnett that I just interviewed not too long ago.
Sick.
So he said, is there a downside to turning one of your favorite activities into a job?
I would say, yeah, if you don't have good boundaries with it. I'll give an example, like, or I guess good boundaries are good expectations. I feel like I do have to carve out my time that I get to spend skating, which is just about me. I'm not meeting up with a volunteer. I'm not at a Skate Like a Girl event. I'm not, you know, I am just skating for me with my friends, and there's no expectation other than to have fun. Like, I have to, like, get that onto my calendar. If I expect that I can go to, like, Skate Like a Girl's Women in Trans sessions and get that, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Like, because if I'm at a space that's run by Skate Like a Girl, a lot of times like I'm seen as Kristin from Skate Like a Girl, right? I can't turn off my face. Like I'm not gonna all of a sudden be some random person. You know, sure. I'm a leader. And you know, sometimes it is fun and I can like just like I do go and skate the sessions and I still have a lot of fun, but it's not the exact same thing.
Sure.
So yeah, I would say like there's downsides, I guess, but I'd say there's more positives than negatives. Like I'm able, because skateboarding is a part of my job, I'm able to influence the culture. I'm able to be a possibility model for other people. And I see a lot more benefits than like, it's like every so often I like don't get to skate as much because I'm like at a skate event and everyone's trying to talk to me or asking me to film them, or I have a job or something. So it's like, I got to manage my expectations around going to like a Skate Like a Girl space and an event. Like, I don't know, one example is like at WAF this year, I didn't get to skate the contest because I was just tired because I worked so hard the day before and into the wee hours of the night, and I didn't get enough sleep and I couldn't skate the contest. So that was like one downside. The other week I was at a Skate Like a Girl event and I really wanted to skate because it was open skate, but I had a job of filming clips for people and like everyone was taking forever to film their clips. So like I didn't end up getting that much time to skate and I was really frustrated. So it's like, yeah, again, managing expectations and then making me time to skate. Like next week after my tour, I'm going to just stay in LA and skate for a week and not work.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah. So again, got to carve out that time.
Okay, I have an audio one here. Let's see, I don't remember if she says her name.
Hey, Kristin. All right, here's my question for you. So, between being the executive director of Skate Like a Girl and being a professional skateboarder and writing and running Mess Mag and doing a bunch of side writing projects, as well as being an awesome partner and daughter to your parents, mentoring people in the community and just being super involved in the community, you are one of the most efficient people that I know when it comes to time management. And I'm curious if you have any tips for us in how you manage your time so efficiently. All right, thanks.
That's Kim.
Yes, exactly.
Kim, that I work with at Skate Like a Girl. Yeah, I would say just nuts and bolts logistics. I put everything on my work calendar. I don't have multiple calendars. I don't have a written calendar and then like a, you know, a digital one. And then I don't have different calendars. I just put everything on the same calendar.
Okay.
So that's like my first thing. My second thing I would say is most nights before I go to bed, I look at my next day. or on like a Sunday or a Monday, looking ahead at my week, I look at my days. If I have 8 meetings scheduled on like a random day, I'm going to look through all those meetings and go, what meetings can move? What is not priority? What do I need to get done this week? So I feel like I'm efficient with my time because I'm not scared to be not efficient with my time. I'm not scared to ask people, hey, can we do this next week? Hey, are you okay moving this? Or, you know, I'm constantly looking ahead and like rearranging things because I know every day I need to make time to skate or be active. Like I need to go to yoga or I need to go on a walk or I need to go skateboarding. Like I know if I don't do those things, I'm going to suck at everything else.
Yes, I understand.
I also have like goals around like making time with my partner and making time with my family. Like I try to do that at least once a week. So I have certain, I guess my third tip is I just have specific goals around how much time I'm spending doing the things that fill my cup. Because I could spend all week only working on Skate Like a Girl. I could spend all week like only working, you know, and not having time for joy. And like, I'm sorry, but like, I don't get paid enough from the stuff that I do. I work at a nonprofit. I don't get paid enough to put every ounce of me into it. And so I gotta like reel it in. Yeah. So definitely making time for myself is crucial. Making time for my family, the things that fill my cup, and not being scared to like block. I literally block it off on my calendar. Like I'm going skating and I like put it on my calendar.
No, that's very good advice right there. Yeah. Okay, this next question is from Ted Barrow. So he said, what nickname best describes your skating? Flickosaurus Rex or Kebs?
What did he say? Flickosaurus?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading. Flickosaurus, I think so, yeah. Like a flick from a kickflip or something, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't feel like I have very good flick, at least with my regular kickflip. My switch flip flick, I will say I'm pretty proud of.
Oh, yeah. There was a really, really good one in your recent part, yeah, of this bump thing, yeah.
Yeah, my front foot, like, I feel like I've broken my ankle, like, a few times and stretched those ligaments out that when I go to flick, like, my foot just stays kind of bent.
Okay.
It doesn't really flick out, but my left foot, when I do switch flips, doesn't do that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would say probably more Kebs. I don't know, like, people call me Kebs because it's just a combination of my first and last name, but I feel like Kebs, like, I like when people call me that because I like having a nickname. I just feel like that's very true to, like, skateboarding and punk to have, like, a nickname and not go by like my actual name or be called like Miss or Miss Ebeling or like anything like that or Mrs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also don't really like being called like executive director. Like I don't hate it. It's my title, but you know, I feel like I'm a professional teenager. Like I'm literally just trying to have as much fun and do as much good in my community. And I'm focused on just being me and being a big kid and all the stuff I wanted to have happen when I was 14 years old. I'm trying to make that shit happen. And I'm trying to make it happen for as many other people as possible. So I feel like Kebs really, really personifies that.
Okay, let's do this one. Let's see.
Hello, Kristin. When did your love of roller coasters begin? And what are the top 3 left on your bucket list?
Okay, this is fun because it's tied to skating. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa is my fellow theme park lover. She's a Disneyland head. I'm a little more into thrill rides, but I also love Disney. I've actually been to Disneyland with Lisa, which is so sick. I hope to go with her soon again. Okay, so my love of roller coasters happened because, so Alex and I, my partner, got married in October, and then shortly thereafter, there was an exposure skate contest down in Southern California. So, classic me, instead of us going on, like, a honeymoon, I was like, hey, you want to go to California with me? I'm going to skate this contest so we can kind of hang out, and it'll sort of be like a skate trip / our honeymoon. And, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of money at the time. My husband's from Canada, so he couldn't work in the United States for a long time, so, you know, we didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, so that was pretty much all of the honeymoon we could create. So we went down to California. The night before the exposure contest, I'm trying to get a clip for my video part with my friend Shane. He does like skate rats. I was filming for a video part at the time. And I went to do this trick and I landed on my board. Perfect. I thought I was rolling away and then I rolled my ankle off my board. So I had to go to the emergency room. Anyways, we went to the emergency room. My phone got stolen while I was getting x-rays. It was like this super horrible experience. Like it was super rough. I was in a lot of pain. I ended up having like a high ankle sprain. I got crutches. So all of a sudden our honeymoon skate trip turned into like, what the hell are we going to do? So we're sitting at Shane's house. You know, I had just like, we walked like a mile to the phone store to get me a new phone. And we're just sitting there like, okay, we need to do something fun. And I was like, why don't we go to like Knott's Berry Farm or like Disneyland or something? So we ended up just doing that for like our honeymoon. And I had always been scared of roller coasters, but I was like, I'm so frustrated and annoyed at myself. And it was sick because I had a wheelchair. They let us cut all of the lines. So we got to ride all the coasters in the park and all the rides that we wanted to. And we like kind of dared ourselves to like we kind of like one-upped each other. We were like, oh, let's do this one next. Oh, I'm scared. We'd go watch it for a little while. And then, because we could cut the line, we didn't have to like think about it. We were like, fuck it, let's go. So that was, I would say, when my love of roller coasters started. And then slowly after that, that was just kind of a thing that me and my husband would do together just to like be kids. And, I don't know, I didn't really grow up like having my parents like take me to do all kinds of like theme park things. It's not really something my family loves, but I always wanted to do it. And Alex grew up being like one of 6, so they kind of had limited experience like doing stuff. So it's kind of something that we wish we got to do more in our childhood. And so it's just something that we do for fun.
Okay.
As far as my last 3 bucket list coasters, there's a new one in Florida. There's actually 2 new ones in Florida. So I need to do a Florida trip super soon. There's Velocicoaster, and then there's Iron Gwazi. So those are 2 new Florida coasters. So I'm going to say those 2. And then I really want to go to Energylandia in Poland. And I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure it's there. It's this coaster called Zadra, which is kind of similar to Iron Gwazi, but I really want to ride that one. So yeah, I'm going to say Iron Gwazi, Zadra, and Velocicoaster are my 3 bucket list coasters right now.
Cool.
Super nerdy. Sorry.
But I love it. It's amazing.
I don't know. I think going back to like navigating fear, roller coasters are such an easy, safe way to teach yourself to navigate fear. Like, fuck it, I'm going on it. I'm strapped in. If I die on a roller coaster, that's actually kind of sick. That's like what I tell myself, because I still get really scared.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I force myself to do it, and I feel like I'm slowly being desensitized to the fear.
Okay, let's see.
Kristin, this is Alex, your husband. If money was no object, what song would you want to skate to? It could also have been a song that's already been used in a skate video. But what would be the ultimate song?
Ooh, ultimate song. He would do this to me. I'm nervous to mess up my recording on my phone, but I want to look at my Spotify. I'm like, I want to look.
Yeah, it's hard to answer on the spot.
Yeah. You know what? I think
a song by your band, maybe, or would you rather not?
Well, I guess that would be free.
Yeah,
that would be free. I'm gonna say probably Mariah Carey. I would probably do that.
Which song?
Let me just look it up really quick.
Go ahead.
I think this is what it's called. Yeah, I would probably do Fantasy by Mariah Carey. I think that would be legendary. Other than that, maybe, because I would just be if money was no object, that would probably be an extremely expensive song to ever skate to. And I think it's a vibe. And it's just goofy, which fits me. Mm-hmm. But I also think something, I don't know, maybe a Bad Brains song. I don't know, a lot of people have skated to Bad Brains.
Yeah.
But I think they're super sick. I think Bad Brains Attitude would be a cool song. I love that one. Or Don't Need It. Those 2 Bad Brains songs I think are probably some of my favorites as far as punk goes. But I feel those wouldn't be that expensive, So I'd go Mariah Carey if money was no object. But I would love to skate to a Bad Brains song for sure.
Cool. Let's wrap it up here because otherwise I'll just keep asking you questions for another 3 hours.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you so much, Kristin. That was really fun. Thank you for taking the time. And good luck with everything you have going on in the next few months. And let me know if you do come to Europe. I'd love to go see you live. You and your band play live. That would be super fun.
Yeah, maybe skate a little bit or something too.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much.
That's it for my conversation with Kristin. Follow her on Instagram at @andawamybar. Not sure how to pronounce that, but it's spelled ANDAWHAMYBAR. Follow also Meow Skateboards at Meow Skateboards, Skate Like a Girl at Skate Like a Girl, and Punitive Damage at Punitive_Damage. Go watch some of her video parts, particularly the latest one called Overbooked for Krux Trucks, which came out in January. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon for a new episode of Beyond Boards.